thanks for staying with us. Ibadan Chief Magistrate's Court has ordered the remand of Naomi Selekonola, former wife of the Ooni of Ife, Agidigbo FM CEO Oriyomi Hamzat, and Islamic High School Principal Abdullahi Fasasi at the Agodi Correctional Center. The trio is facing charges related to the Ibadan Funfair stampede that claimed 35 children's lives and injured several others. The charges include conspiracy, negligence leading to death, endangering police or public safety, and failure to provide adequate security and medical care. The case was adjourned to January 13, 2025, pending legal advice from the Director of Public Prosecution. Defense lawyers argued against the remand, citing jurisdictional limitations and health concerns, particularly for Hamzat, who had been hospitalized following the incident. However, Chief Magistrate Olabisi Ogunkomi ruled that the correctional facility was appropriate, emphasizing the need for legal advice to determine the next course of action. The ruling sparked reactions from Hamzat supporters who gathered at the court in protest as the suspects were escorted away under heavy security. Meanwhile, 5 other individuals initially arrested in connection with the tragedy were released on Monday night. The released suspects include Genesis Christopher and 4 others whose involvement was deemed less critical. The tragedy has intensified security of event safety standards, with the court's decision underscoring the legal accountability for negligence at public gatherings. Our guest this morning is Mr. James Ibor, who is a legal practitioner. Good morning and welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you for having me with us again.
Good morning. Merry Christmas to you.
Let me greet you again.
Thank you.
Let me greet you again. Aproke and Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we'll be there.
I'm fine.
What's going on?
You're gone. Okay, let's move at Christmas. We're doing the Tower of Babel today, so sorry for that. Okay, Mr. Ibor, first of all, these people organized an event, and the projected number was 6,000, I think. And
it was 5,000.
Okay, and then they had about 7,500 people going. And the radio station was part of the organization. Or
Your audio is poor. I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Hello?
Can you hear me better?
It's better.
Okay, so these people organized an event for 5,000 people, and at the end of the day it was 7,005. Even when the radio station kept announcing that it is enough, people should stop coming, they did not stop. They did crash more or less, and now there was this stampede. These people have been held in the correctional center. I'd like you to tell us the weight of the people's offense that has made them go into the correctional center, and what you really feel generally about what is happening.
Yes, I think I'm not a police officer. I don't have the facts the police have. But if the facts that we know, which we've heard from the media, are anything to go by, no crime was committed. You see, people crash people's occasion. As you are aware, there is hunger in the land. People want to. I understand this event is a yearly event, but how come this year more people turned up, even children? There is hunger in the land. I think the government is just trying to calm frayed nerves and maybe push the blame to the organizers. I think the government share a lot of blame. The government share a lot of blame. There was failure of intelligence. There is failure of the system, the structures that ought to have assisted the organizers to manage crowd. You know, we had expected that the state security services, the police, should have anticipated the fact that because of what is happening in the country, especially after NSAS, all these things would have been anticipated. Yes, I can a bit of blame to the organizers for being negligent, but that is not enough to even charge them for murder and still keep them in custody. I'm sure the organizers were also traumatized. They never expected it. So I think the government have organized programs and there were stampedes and nothing happened to even the chief executive or those involved in it. They are just using her as a scapegoat or using them as scapegoats.
For a cheaper rate,
Yes.
and I think about
In
10
Lagos,
people
yes.
or so died. And nobody heard anything about it. No customs officer was held responsible, nothing. And now we have these people being held down as, you know, it's almost like it's a murder case, and they're being held.
Do you think they're being remanded, maybe just because, I mean, they're not in the government per se?
Yes, you remember we had a recruitment in Abuja,
Yeah,
and
that too.
a lot of young people died. Nobody resigned. Nobody was prosecuted. We've had stampedes over the years, over government-held activities, and nobody was held accountable. So she's just a victim of circumstance. There is no way they can successfully convict them because no crime, from my opinion, this is just my opinion, no crime, at the risk of being proved wrong because we don't know the facts, they cannot succeed in convicting anybody. My only concern is that they may never be compensated for the harassment they've suffered.
Okay, so but in your opinion, do you think they could have organized this a bit better? Because I'm sure what they're being paraded for was maybe lack of planning, because obviously 5,000 people were planned for, but 7,500 showed up. Now, this is obviously beyond their control because you cannot control humans, how they respond to things. And of course, since there's hunger in the land, a lot of people would definitely want some freebies, and that was the case here. But do you think they could have done a lot more in the planning, especially when it comes to crowd control? Because if there were maybe the security personnel there, even sometimes people have bouncers at events. If they had all of that, people who would ensure that things are being done in an orderly manner, do you think they might have been here by now?
Yes, this is a failure of governance. I'm shying away from heaping the blame on the organizers. The reason is very clear. What is the rule when you're organizing events? Government, there's no structure in place, there's no system in place, So all this would have been expected, but you cannot control. I have a birthday party, and I announce that I have a birthday party. I'm inviting my friends, and people decide to invade my venue, and people die. You hold me accountable? Cannot hold me accountable. So if there is a rule that, look, if you're organizing any event, this is the protocol. But I bet you, by the time they put that system in place, government will see it as a revenue generating point, and ruin the activity by taxing the organizers to spend money for, the organizer is merely doing what government ought to have done. There is hunger in the land. There's hunger. Governors are struggling to pay minimum wage. Things are skyrocketing. There's hunger. People are poor. People are dying. People who are sick. I receive calls every day. You see friends and relatives who were able to manage their health issues, diabetes, high blood pressure, and other issues, can no longer manage them. They are dying because the cost of medications have not just doubled, they are tripled. People die of hunger today in Nigeria. This was never the case. And we keep saying that, yes, the economy is improving. I wonder where the index or the indices we use to measure improvement in our economy. And I wonder how long we are going to endure this. Crime rate has increased, banditry has increased, and there's no, even when there's increase in the defense budget, it won't solve the problem. It won't solve the problem because we need to create jobs, we need to solve the economic crisis. Otherwise, these stampedes will continue. It will continue. You can imagine that soon after that happened, another one happened in Anambra State.
In Okija?
Yes. Even in
Abuja as well.
In Cross River, when the vice president's wife visited, there was a stampede. People were hospitalized. We're only lucky that nobody died because of palliatives.
Wow. Okay, but now the government has come out, especially like the Lagos state government has come out to say that any event you're organizing and you are sure that you're going to have up to 250 people, you need to seek permit from the government. The details of how that permit will come to you are not known, but they said you have to seek permit before you can organize that kind of a thing. So I don't know, are we between the devil and the deep blue sea? Because if I have to spend money to do palliatives, and then, like you said, maybe the government decides that it's going to be a revenue generating point for them, I may just shy away, and then people who I could have helped will not get this kind of help. So how do you rate that law, that new directive that has come out from the government, that you have to seek permission from the whatever ministry it is to be able to hold an event that you can house or host up to 250 people?
I want to commend the Lagos State government for such a policy. It's commendable, but I'm more concerned with or more interested in the implementation. How will it be implemented? Will it mean you need to pay money to get permit to provide food to my community? Will it mean I have to pay police to provide security? You know, I should be able to get permit, you know, work with government to design the strategy of distribution without paying money. In fact, government should match my contribution or should double it. That is what any responsible government should do, because I should be complementing government efforts. I should not be taxed or extorted by government officials because I want to provide food to my community members.
Yeah. Okay, so what lesson do you think we should have learned by now? Because we've seen this as something that has happened, you know, over time. Of course, there was the Ibadan stampede, there was Okija, there was Abuja, and like you just even mentioned, Cross River as well. And I think there was a report a few days ago, I think was it on Monday or so, that talked about how many people have died in 2024 due to stampedes in 1 year, and there's been so many events. At this point, don't you think we should have learned our lessons, and what lessons should we learn, especially when it comes to safety precautions that we need to take? Of course, Lagos State is saying if you have at least 200 people at your event, you need to get a permit, but permit is one thing. What are some requirements that should be right there for you to even seek such permit?
Yes, I want to maybe answer your question by giving this illustration or analogy.
Okay.
Dangote distributed rice around the country. I was part of those who distributed rice. My organization, Basic Rice Council Initiative, with the Neighborhood Care Foundation, distributed Dangote rice in Cross River, and there was no single stampede. You know, that was because we spent time strategizing. We distributed rice in communities successfully without any stampede, without any complaint. And we need to spend time, aside, some people politicize the process. You know, you want to come heap bags of rice in a public space and to show that maybe you have money or you're very generous. And people keep coming and keep taking pictures. Sometimes, I don't know, people have fun when people, you see, it's common in Nigeria where you see people throw money and people will fall over themselves struggling to pick money.
Yeah.
That is evidence of poverty, evidence of frustration among the people. And some people feel good when they see that happen. So if, again, we can emphasize that, look, it is criminal to spread money, and we hold people accountable. It is also criminal. We should criminalize the process of distribution. I think that would not have happened if there was, if they have invested time, you know, working through determining who would actually need those gifts. Maybe using kind of investigating and getting data of vulnerable families around.
Yeah.
And meeting them directly, and that was how the rice was distributed. We had 3 weeks planning, getting names of vulnerable families and delivering this rice to them in different venues, you know, to avoid stampede. So we need to invest time doing that, and if they work with credible NGOs, because I also know that sometimes people try to come to general venues because they don't want the palliatives to be cornered, which is also very common in Nigeria. But it is better you work with credible NGOs to meet the needs of vulnerable families directly than to call everybody in a venue.
Yeah, that is exactly my sentiment. Yeah, that's exactly my sentiment, because I feel like there are other ways that we can do this. Just like you've said, you can even send text messages. Even if you need a verification code, that can be sent. You get to a place. I think it's time that we start to decentralize gatherings. So instead of having, even 5,000 is a lot in one place. So instead of having maybe 7,000 people, we can have pockets of maybe 100, 200. Go to your local community and you get your rice. So
well, I don't know, because the whole idea, like in the case of Oyo, was for the children to come together
and have fun. Yes.
So you begin to share them, and that's like when you become an adult. Let's say you use that to network and all that. So you make friends, you just play, have that fun like that, and I know that the politicians also will not do this, their empowerment in a hidden way. They will want to come to
to show off
and all that. So what are the things right now? Let's just say, if you're organizing an event, no matter how much the people will be, what are, like Rume said, what are the basic things you need to look out for, things that you have to put in place, even when you want to get the permit? These are the things that possibly the authorities will ask you, is this in place, is that in place? So for security's sake, if you cannot go to individual houses, because sometimes it's really difficult, so, and you want to have it in a particular place, what are some of the basic things that need to be put in place to make sure that that event, as much as possible, will be safe for the attendees?
Yes, you see, crowd management is a skill. It's a skill, and the kind of venue you're hiring is very important. The number of people and the kind of persons you're expecting is also very key. So depending on the event or the people you're expecting at the event will determine the venue and the mode of distribution. I've attended events where even to leave your seat to go and eat food becomes a problem because of issues of crowd control. So I think having policies in place with the sincerity of purpose of implementing this policy without, using it as another means of generating revenue for some agents of government or for government themselves will be key. For instance, a place like that, they would have maybe used the stadium where there are security personnel at the gates, and determining who goes in and who is allowed into the venue. And it's always dangerous to give people things like rice and money and allow people to be going out while people are coming in. You should have a number you admit and shut the gates. And people should leave the venue in badges. Nobody should be allowed to come in while people are leaving. And there should be multiple exits and entrances. Yes.
Oh, well, I don't know, because this is the same country that you want to organize, for instance, a protest or a peaceful walk, and you go to the police will be threatening you. We know that during the NSAS, or not NSAS, and bad governance, representations were made to the authorities to seek for security, and instead of saying, okay, we are going to give you security, the police was threatening the people. So people resort to
self-help. We even got security. We even got security. We got security. Another set of security came, picked up protesters, and arrested them.
Wow.
So you see the challenges that are there. People resort to self-help.
Like somebody said, if somebody explains Nigeria to you and you understand, the person is not explaining Nigeria. It's difficult to explain Nigeria, yes.
All right, Mr. Ibor, we'd like you to just give us your Christmas message, Christmas and New Year message to Nigerians as we wrap up this segment with you.
People are becoming increasingly desperate. Government will have to be more responsible. 2025 is going to be tough because there seems to be no structure, no system. So I'm asking private citizens to take steps to stay safe while I encourage government to do better.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. Merry Christmas to you and a prosperous New Year in advance.
Thank you. Thank you. We invite you for Calabar Carnival.
Yes, so we're coming, but no hotels for us.
Biggest street party in Africa.
Yes, but there are no hotels anymore for those of us who could not book it. So maybe you'll have some makeshift.
I'll accommodate you.
We're coming to your house.
All right, we are coming then.
Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas
so
to you
much.
once
Merry
again.
Christmas.
All right, thank you.
We were talking to Mr. James Ibor, a legal practitioner. We were looking at the unfortunate event in Oyo. It also spiraled into the events that we saw in Abuja, Okija, and so many other places that we've had stampedes. We hope that these incidences do not occur, at least not at the magnitude they did now and the frequency with which they occurred just recently. We're going to take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be looking at our tourism potential and how we can make judicious use of it, especially in this time of December.
Dirty December.
Dirty December.
Please stay with us.